So carbon fiber, it's a material that's used a lot in racing, used a lot in a lot of motorsports. And I think possibly out of everything, Ed, it's probably the thing that you're most experienced with over the years. So can you just give a bit of a summary on how important this material has been over the years for racing and potentially what the future of its innovations could be?
Well, carbon fiber, and in particular carbon fiber composites, are very, very important in racing and really in anything that's high performance. Wherever you're willing to pay a lot to get performance at a lower weight, because that's the big advantage. The stiffness or strength to weight ratio for composites is very, very high, say compared to something like aluminum, where it's 5 to 10 times greater stiffness to weight ratio. Also, another advantage of composites is you can make very, very complex shapes. Starts off as a fabric, and you can shape that fabric however you want with limitations. And you can tailor where you want the strength. So if you have a piece of metal, it has the same strength in all directions. However, with carbon fiber, you could put extra fibers in a certain direction along where the load paths are or whatever, which allows you to make it even more efficient from a weight standpoint. And so you have the fiber. And then the other part is the matrix, and that can be a plastic or like typically in high performance automotive, it's more of an epoxy. So, or a polymer matrix. So what that matrix does is it transfers the loads from the different fibers, again, making that structure more efficient. So composites have been used in aerospace since the 60s, and they were initially introduced into Formula One in the 70s for a part here and there. But the big innovation was when John Barnard introduced the first monocoque chassis, which was in 1981 in the MP4L1 McLaren. And so that was the early 80s. And by the end of the 80s, pretty much everyone had a monocoque chassis. And one of the greatest advantages of that, and we see it all the time, is safety. The amount of energy it takes to delaminate or to take all those layers of composites to separate is tremendous for the amount of material that's there. So it's perfect for creating a very, very safe environment. However, it is very, very expensive. So that's why you typically see it on the high performance end. But since then, you now start to see not only in the monocoque, very thick structure with hundreds and hundreds of plies, you have very complex shapes like brake ducts, thinner, but very, very complex. Probably be very hard to make a complex brake duct like you see in Formula One out of metal. The covers or thin covers on the car, other crash structures like side pods, the nose. And then I think the wing, especially the front wing, is very, very interesting. Again, the ability to tailor the composite to have it thicker in certain areas, thinner in other areas, allows you to get the flex you want in that wing. So it has different performance at different loads at different speeds. And of course, composites, carbon fiber composites have worked their way into the commercial world, primarily at the high end. I think one of the first ones was the Ferrari F40. And then the greatest example is the Lamborghini Sesto Elemento, sixth element, which is the periodic address of carbon. And that car weighed less than 1,000 kilograms at about 500 horsepower, which is about 70% of the weight of the F40 at about the same horsepower. So, now you're starting to see it even in motorcycles, and both by Ducati and BMW. So little by little, it's working its way down, and you can find composites now in the Lexus, in the Alfa Romeo. Of course, the BMW i3, which was an economy car, no longer produced, but nonetheless shows how carbon fiber is really making its way, not just in high performance cars, but ultimately little by little working its way down.
Yeah, that's the great thing about any kind of technology like that. It starts out as something completely novel and incredibly high end, but eventually it becomes more normal. And you're absolutely right with the monocoque as well in F1. I remember Watson had a crash in '81 at Monza, and had he been in a more traditional chassis, the one that was used for most of the cars back then, he said he would have either died or been seriously injured. But as it was, he walked out of the car. He was absolutely fine. So that was a testament to how good carbon fiber is for that sort of stuff. But yeah, fascinating that, Ed. Thank you for highlighting that. And Ed is, of course, a former vice president of Siemens Automotive Division, so Siemens Motorsport Division. So if you've got some more questions you want to ask us and we'll answer them, we're happy to. So yeah, see you for the next one, guys.